They say old houses remember things. If that's true, then this house remembers everything. Every laugh, every fight, every goodbye that never really got said. Frank Miller is 78 years old. He lives alone in a small, worn-out house at the edge of a forgotten Midwestern town. Every evening at 6:30 sharp, Frank pulls his old wooden chair onto the porch and sits down. Same chair, same road, same weight. People drive past sometimes. Most don't notice him. Some shake their heads. They don't know Frank isn't lost. He's waiting. There was a time when life was loud. Frank worked the steel mill for over 30 years. Long shifts, dirty hands, sweat-soaked shirts. But when he came home, the house was full of life. Linda's laugh filled the kitchen. The radio played old rock songs. The kids ran through the house like wild animals. Frank thought that life would last forever. He was wrong. One morning, the mill gates were locked. No warning, no goodbye. Frank told himself he'd bounce back. Weeks turned into months. Bills piled up. Hope started slipping. He drank more than he should have. Not because he wanted to, but because it made the world quiet. Linda tried. God knows she tried. One night she stood in front of him and said, "I don't recognize you anymore." Frank didn't answer. A week later, she packed the car. The kids were already inside. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just left. At first, Frank believed they'd come back. He fixed the house, cleaned everything, left the porch light on every night. Days passed, then years. Birthday cards stopped coming. Phone calls faded away. Frank kept telling himself they were busy, but deep down, he knew. Now Frank's world is small. Black coffee every morning, an empty chair at the table, a quiet house that echoes too loud. Every afternoon he checks the mailbox. Every afternoon it's empty. And every evening at 6:30, Frank sits on the porch. One day, a young kid walking his dog stopped and asked, "Mister, what are you waiting for?" Frank smiled softly. "Family," he said. The kid asked, "They coming today?" Frank nodded. "Someday." The kid walked away, not knowing Frank had been waiting for over 20 years. Nights are the hardest. Frank lies awake staring at the ceiling, replaying moments he wishes he could change, the words he never said, the calls he never made. "I should have done better," he whispers. The house stays silent. One rainy evening, Frank found an old box, photos, kids' drawings, a letter Linda wrote but never sent. "I don't hate you, Frank. I just can't watch you disappear." Frank cried like a man who finally understood everything. Too late. Winter came hard that year. Snow covered the porch. The road froze over. Still, Frank sat outside, waiting, because hope hurts less than goodbye. One night, the porch light burned out. Frank didn't replace it. He sat in the dark and whispered, "If you ever come back, I'll be right here." The next morning, the porch chair was empty. The road stayed quiet. And somewhere far away, a family lived their lives, never knowing an old man spent his final years waiting to be seen.